Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those birds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got some family here.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Yes.
We make our way into
Saturday.
Hall H on Saturday.
We stick to the plan. We all go forward and then head left because you want to be on the left side because
Scott wasn't so sure. He wanted that right because right we could have been a little bit closer.
Yeah.
If we'd gone right.
But we would have been looking at the backs of everybody's heads.
So was there that many seats for everybody on the right side?
We could have. No, I mean I went. We could have easily fit our group over on the right side. But I mean, you would have been way right corner. You would have been in with the press pit, and we've been there.
That year BVS was announced.
2013.
And I prefer the angle we were at this year to that angle. Even though we were closer that year, but this angle was just ideal for just vantage points, whether you were taking pictures or you just watching the presenters or the cast or looking at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
We were at a angle where we could see the main screen, but we could also see the far right super long side if the curtain had gotten pulled back. So we were in the optimal spot, I think. And so the first panel of the day is Warner Brothers.
WB.
So let's talk about that and their presentation. What were your thoughts on their showing?
Well, I've never really liked the Warner Brothers panel. I've always felt like they have come second fiddle to Marvel. Whether it's the bells and whistles that we love to talk about, or just the panel presentations themselves. I mean, there will always be the year that they announced BVS, and that'll be a hallmark moment for us.
Right.
But if you remember last year, the panels were pretty subdued. They were quiet outside of David Ayer, throwing shit at Marvel. The casts themselves were low key.
Right.
This year, and it's got to all go to Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah.
Chris Hardwick comes out. Do they immediately pull back the screen?
Yeah, so Eddie Ibrahim is our hoster with the moster.
Yeah.
He announces the unfurling. He's like, the first one is the WP panel, so you know what that means. And then the screen goes back, and then they do that montage of all of the WB films. And I don't care. Anytime I see a movie montage, I always cry.
Yeah,
just immediate tears. Right away. Yeah. So beautiful.
I was feeling it because they showed Fury Road up there.
Yeah, they did.
Oh my God. And again, it was great for the people in our group that were there for the first time. Like Scott's son, Kale. This is his first time.
all didn't tell him. We didn't tell him it was going to happen.
And so just to be able to see his reaction to the screens pulling back.
They were playing Thus Spake Zayastra. Or actually, that was later. With I'm just excited. I have my notes.
Zach has seen the screens pull back. They did that the first year.
Yes,
Zach has.
Okay, he just never saw Marvel.
And then they have the montage, and then that montage concludes with their slate, right? And the thing about the DC slate is you can never trust it, never believe it. They're always promising other movies that they haven't delivered on yet. Yeah. But this year, you had Justice League, Suicide Squad 2.
This was during DC's panel, but they did Ready Player One and Blade Runner first.
That was
no. So they showed the WB montage, and then we go into Ready Player One.
So I won't talk about the DC lies just yet.
Yeah. So Ready Player One and Blade Runner 2049 were the first 2 movies that they showed before we get to DC.
So we got to see.
I just want to jump right into DC, but Ready Player One.
Yeah, Ready Player One.
So Ready Player One started with kind of a video montage of arcade type things.
Oh yeah.
To Thus Spake Zarathustra. And then the Ready Player One thing came up.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
And I enjoyed that footage as well.
Yeah, I did too.
And I enjoyed seeing Steven Spielberg come out.
Yeah.
But we've seen him before.
Yeah, we've seen him before.
For Tintin.
So it's like, whatever.
What I enjoyed about this panel
That's a good movie, Darren.
is they had the author on this stage of the book.
Ernest Cline.
And I loved the reverence that the whole panel gave to Ernest Cline's vision. And it's like they made it very important that this is his world. And this is going to be a very, like, in the spirit of the original book, maybe more than others.
Well, what I liked about it was Spielberg comes out and says that they can't do every reference that's in the Ernest Cline novel.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because of rights, but because there are so many Spielberg references in Ready Player One, it would feel awkward for him to be bringing them forward.
Exactly.
Right. He said he read the book and then he's like, "Oh, they're going to need a younger director for this film."
And that's when, that's where you get Iron Giant, Light Cycles, Akira Cycle,
Freddy Krueger.
Cool,
Back to the Future. There was Back to the Future.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, the footage looks fun. And, I get, of course, super stoked when I see the Iron Giant storming across the Oasis.
Mad Max's Interceptor.
Yeah, I mean that's all great, but we are kind of in that world already of expanded universes and mashup art. So I don't think it holds the power that it once did when I originally read Ready Player One. So they really just have to tell that book. From an emotional, they have to land the character. It can't just be
the gimmick of
the
mashup stuff
of the mashup.
But Spielberg has never relied on gimmicks. I don't think he.
Oh yeah, speak your piece, B.
I mean, I think he has done some gimmicky stuff, and I think he's in a place right now where he really needs a win. Also, coming off of BFG.
Yeah. But I mean, his films, I don't know if he can harken back to those days of the 80s, but his films, he can bring character forth.
Oh, of course.
I think so.
I'm excited.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
I just wasn't, I don't know. I don't think I was in love with that trailer as much as some were.
Okay. All right.
Also, I love this panel because T.J. Miller was on this panel, and he was cutting it up.
Oh, boy.
He was comparing this VAR film to Lawnmower Man, which I just watched for the first time.
And it'll probably be better than Lawnmower Man.
I think that's a safe bet.
After that, we get...
and we can't not skip that Michael asked a question. Somebody from our group asked a question
was
in
it
Hall
for this
H.
panel?
Yes, it was.
He spoke to Spielberg.
Oh yeah,
it was so cool.
I got a good photo of that. I got to send that to them.
Unfortunately, during his question, that's where we got our first viewing of the vest guy. So Hall H always has like these characters that I think some people might find charming, but I think are so annoying. So this year we had this guy. So the mic for the questions is always right in front of the chairs, the red chairs for people with special needs. And that's also where we have people in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And it's wonderful. But there was this one guy who was wearing a vest. And at the beginning, it was a Superman vest. But he did change his vest. He had like switch up vests. And he did everything in his power to be behind the camera for whenever people were asking a question, and he would like mug and make faces and joke and stuff like that. And during Michael's question, like people started laughing because this guy was like wiggling his fingers and being a goose behind Michael, who's being really brave and talking in front of 6,000 people. And I thought we were just gonna let it roll and just have someone ask him to go away, you know what I mean? But then Chris Hardwick is like, well, I think there's another person that this audience wants to hear from, referring to the vest guy. And I was like, oh, no. And he became a staple character to every panel.
Until the Comic-Con camera guy's like, nope, going to block him from every shot.
But it wasn't until the Marvel panel. And I saw multiple people talk to him. They needed to lay down the law. It's tough because he's a grown man, and a lot of those like volunteers are like young. Yeah. And I understand that it's hard to be like, dude, in a wheelchair, stop making Hall H about yourself, dude.
Because I think that's just unfair to the person asking the question because it distracts from their moment with this particular person that they're speaking to.
And being a guest, being a audience member should not include costume changes. I mean, like, that's just too much. And I was like, bring the button lady back.
After Ready Player One, we have a brief panel for Blade Runner 2049, which showed some amazing footage, showed a nice scene.
Yeah, they gave us a whole like timeline.
Yes,
they did the timeline
awesome.
thing.
They used Warner Brothers. They really do maximize. They don't just pull those curtains back and then just have a static imagery up there. Depending on the film, they maximize that real estate, that screen real estate to great effect, I think. And as Lisa just mentioned, they do a timeline leading up to the year 2049 and showing talking about the advances in technology. They briefly mention also about the first Blade Runner, and then they bring us to the current state of affairs with this new film. And so it was awesome because Harrison Ford came out.
Yeah, but then we had a hologram. You can't skip the hologram.
Oh,
yeah, that shit was amazing. So Jared Leto, that was Jared Leto, the hologram?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so his character, whoever he plays in the
Wallace.
film, they had a device on the stage that projected a hologram. And so this was my first time seeing the new updated holographic technology in person.
Well, you didn't know it was a hologram at first.
I mean, it just looked like a guy in a box.
I did because it was so small compared to like a person who would really be up there. And I just thought like, yes, Marvel they do things to pull out the stops, and they'll have their actors come out in character and they'll perform, and the Ravagers will come out. But as you mentioned, Brad, like this year, I think Warner Brothers stepped it up with their showmanship, again, utilizing those screens. But then doing something like this, doing the hologram with a tech-related film like Blade Runner, it's just, seemed really appropriate because in the original film, you do have the future landscape with hologram projections and advertisements and augmented reality. So I thought that was in line and a really cool, just a fun thing to have for that presentation. Which was cool. We're already sold. If I can speak for the rest of the group, we're already sold on the film. So it was a cool treat to see Harrison Ford on stage and also see some footage from the film. After that,
and this is our first time seeing Ryan Gosling.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and Denis Villeneuve.
And Denis Villeneuve.
Yes, that's right. Good seeing them.
I love that one question that the guy asked Harrison Ford. He was like, "It's your goal to reboot every franchise that you started." He leans forward. He's like, "You damn right it is."
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Harrison Ford, he's like a guy who does not like to do interviews.
Yeah,
and he makes it super clear, but the way he makes it clear is being so sassy.
I know, and he comes off because the couple of years he was there for like Cowboys and Aliens, I think some other stuff. Like he just seemed like he didn't want to be there, and so you never know how he's going to respond to stuff. But it seemed like he took like that grumpy old man attitude, but he really had fun with it.
Yeah,
and I love his response to that question. I thought it was great.
Yes, Aisha lost her shit seeing Harrison Ford.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Han Solo. Yeah,
and Denis Villeneuve kicked off like one of the swearingest years. There were so many F-bombs in this Hall H panel, which we know that I love. I love them.
Yeah. And it's so funny because we're in Hall H all the time, and so when every actor or director reads the back of their car saying, "Oh, 18," is like, yes, we've heard this a million times. We've been in this hall a million times. Like, they're not the first person to read that. Like, all right.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the way that the director talks, so like when they asked Denis Villeneuve, like when you were invited to do this film, like what was your decision making process? Like, were you intimidated, and why did you say that you were going to do this film? And he was just like, I didn't want anybody else to fuck it up.
Yeah,
and you don't get more honest than that. This is a film that he loves, and I love to see the product of such passion, but absolutely. I just thought that it was so funny. And in an accent, swearing is even better. We know that.
Yep.
I mean, in the hands of pretty much anybody else. I mean, there are some other directors that they said, like, you know what, Spielberg's doing Blade Runner. I'd be like, that's interesting. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson's doing Blade Runner. Okay. But you say Denis Villeneuve is doing Blade Runner? I'm like, can't wait.
I know.
Oh, Deakins is involved? Oh, done.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah, that man, he's been earning that these last couple
of
films,
years. Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
And they didn't show any footage that was necessarily new.
No,
I guess they showed
a scene.
They showed some scenes.
Nothing spoilery, though.
Nothing terribly spoilery.
No. And they released a trailer that was out like a week or two earlier.
Again, the sell of being in Hall H is to be there for that panel, being in the presence of their enthusiasm for their finished film.
Yeah.
They're really excited and proud of the movie, and I'm sold on it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Looking forward to it.
What was the panel after that, B?
Is this when I can start talking about DC?
Yes.
And that's when the montage of all their slate comes up. And it's like Justice League.
Justice League Dark.
Justice League Dark. Yeah, well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so then they start saying like Shazam. I'm like, oh, where's the date on Shazam?
Batgirl.
Okay, I'm excited. But
Green Lantern Corps.
Green Lantern Corps. Justice League Dark. Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like a couple of years ago, you're talking about how Green Lantern Corps is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And Cyborg movie.
Wonder Woman 2, Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, so I believe Wonder Woman 2. I believe Suicide Squad 2.
Unfortunately.
I don't know if you know what? I think I'm pretty sure I believe Batgirl now.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm still waiting on Shazam. I trust nothing about that.
David Sandberg is attached.
We'll see.
So the DC
but
panel.
then so the hero of the DC panel has to be Jason Momoa.
Awesome.
And they what Jimi Hendrix song like kicks into high gear in Hall H.
It's so hard to tell in that hall, man.
It might have just been Purple Haze.
It might have been just people screaming. It just sound like Jimi Hendrix.
But Hendrix's guitar, shreds the hall, and when his name's announced, of course you're looking at the stage, but then the rumble.
So people start turning heads.
And you're like, oh my god! And he comes from back right of the stage. Oh man, he came so close to running down our aisle. But no, he runs down the main aisle. Right?
Yeah.
And he comes charging through the crowd
with
his trident above his head. And he takes the stage and he shreds his trident like Hendrix shreds his guitar. And he was pumped.
Man. Yeah, he owned that hall.
There might have been cocaine involved.
He
was excited. That Jason Momoa is the hype man for the Justice League and Aquaman films.
And I love Chris
DC films.
DC films, yeah.
Chris Hardwick's response to that is, it makes sense that you're Aquaman because everyone's super wet right now. And he was not wrong.
And what I also loved was Hardwick's like, because Momoa hands Hardwick the trident, and Hardwick makes some joke, oh, I'm like Aqua Boy. And Momoa corrects him and goes like, nah, man, Aqua Lad. Because he knows his canon. Yeah.
That was great.
Momoa's been doing his research.
That was great. Yeah. That was awesome.
So with that, they kick off a little bit of footage they show some footage from
Aquaman.
So I mean, the thing is, like, Momoa's shooting Aquaman right now in Australia.
Yeah, I think he flew in just for that day.
Right.
Yeah.
And James Wan's back in Australia, putting the film together, just starting, basically. And, he's Skyped in or it was a pre-recorded message or whatever, to the crowd. And he said, we don't have much. We have some concept art. And they flashed some concept art. And you saw, like, the trench creatures from Jeff Johns' run. And I was like, oh, my God, the trench. Bring the trench in. Yes. You saw some Black Manta hints. I think you saw a hint of Ocean Master's helmet at one point as well. And he's like, but I don't really have any footage. Well, I do have this one thing. And they introduce, it's a very cute little bit of footage.
Yeah, they play Somewhere Beyond the Sea in French, and there's like these two guys and they're fishing.
They're fishing, and of course they hook something rather large, and it pulls their boat. And they come to a stop, and a shark fin crests the waves. The camera goes into a bird's eye view, and you look down, and you see this fleet of aquatic ships underneath them, this army. this navy is charging into no good battle. And then you cut to Aquaman, Jason Momoa. He's spinning his trident. He's not underwater. He's in a cavern somewhere or a sunken sea ship or something.
Yeah.
And he says something along the lines of, you're done talking? Well, I'm done talking too. And then he acts all tough.
Yeah. I think he swipes at the camera and then he cuts the black.
I thought that footage was cute. I was more excited about the concept designs.
Yeah.
Because obviously what they had cut there for Hall H was done pretty quickly. But I was also surprised, like, they're getting pretty nuts with this fleet. You know,
that was the Ocean Master's fleet.
Yeah, and Momoa later on says that it's Ocean Master's fleet. They're going all in with the mythology of Aquaman.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, you think what you can do with like the underwater world, with with half the Earth, or 75% of the Earth being water, and so it's just amazing what you can do with all of that. It's just, I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, so he got everyone excited for DC, and then they introduced his partners, the Justice League.
And how'd that happen? What happened then?
Gal Gadot was behind us.
They came out in the crowd too. Now they weren't as coked out as Jason Momoa was, but they were incredibly excitable, and I mean, it was. I love. When the Justice League's out, I don't look at Momoa. I don't look at Gal Gadot. I don't look at Ezra Miller or Ray Fisher. I look at Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy I love.
Yeah.
And he's so many previous times in Hall H, he's been pretty reserved. But he was beaming this year. And I think it was, storming out from the crowd and going up to the stage.
Yeah.
Pushing yourself through those 6,500 people. I mean, you could see the awe on Affleck's face. And this is not the first time that he's been at Hall H.
And that was comforting because, at least for me, because his demeanor and his excitement, coupled with his announcement and assurance to the audience with regards to his future as that character,
now,
as Batman.
Me and Brad, and it sounds like you two, kind of take opposite, because I took what he said is like, I wrote down what he said. He said, let me be perfectly clear, Batman is the coolest fucking part in the universe, but he at no point said, and I'm never leaving it, and someone can pry it from my cold, dead hands. To me, it sounded to me like a non-denial denial.
Well, I don't think that he's saying that he will never leave that. Batman it's a role that's going to be played by different people or different iterations, I think. But for me, I took it as, I'm going to finish the Justice League, and I'm going to at least be in this Matt Reeves directed The Batman.
Right.
And
I don't know.
And that's all. That's all
I
for
agree.
me. That's all I want.
That's how I interpret it. He said that he would crawl on the floor like an ape for Matt Reeves. And now he never says he's going to be in that Matt Reeves film, but I read it as, and it's so weird how these things work, because the moment he says that thing, then a bunch of think tanks get together and they say like, "Oh, it's a non-denial committal, blah blah blah," like Lisa just said.
I didn't take a think tank. I thought that all by myself, outside of the tank free.
But I felt like he was committing to the Batman.
Yeah, but I think that like, I
now beyond that, I'm not even certain that he'll do any more after that. But I think
that probably the rumor mills didn't make that up out of whole cloth. I'm sure that he was poking around maybe for a better deal, and the way you poke around for a better deal is say, "Well, try and replace me," right?
I don't know. I mean, we'll never know, because there
none of our
has
business,
been
I guess.
a bunch of shenanigans going on with the Batman, But I was moved by his enthusiasm towards that character, and I did not see it necessarily as a political thing. Maybe this is the Ice-T moment of Saturday, but I saw that as genuine commitment to what he's been doing.
I did too.
Yeah,
I hope so. I just want just finish out the Batman and then go do.
But he also dropped a ton of
Gone Girl
F-bombs.
2.
And I love that he dropped a ton of F-bombs.
Yeah.
That's what the Batman would do.
So are you going to talk about the footage that they showed?
I mean, you talk about it. You're excited about it.
I don't even remember.
The trailer they released online. It's like a 4-minute trailer, Comic-Con trailer. They released it online and like they went crazy for it in Hall H, and they played it twice. There's only a couple of things they played twice in Hall H, but yeah, they played this one twice. But yeah, I mean, the footage opens up. I mean, of course, they start with Wonder Woman because that's the stuff that's kind of hot right now. So they started with that. But I think going into the Justice League and seeing all the different characters with the Flash and Cyborg and leading up with Steppenwolf as we go to Themyscira, I think the trailer had a great, the Boom Tube. I thought it had a great build up.
Have you all been watching this footage post that since Hall H? Have you been watching it more? I know you did a trailer.
I've watched the Justice League trailer a bunch, and I've watched the Thor Ragnarok trailer a couple times.
Really? See, I haven't seen it since we were in Hall H. I saw Thor Ragnarok in the Atomic Blonde the other night in the theater. But other than that, I haven't gone. Not because I don't want to.
Do you have a moment from the new Justice League trailer that stands out to you?
This is what I was building up to. Again, the footage from what I remember seeing it in Hall H is amazing. I'm so excited for Justice League. Seeing it in Hall H was amazing. I'm pretty sure I had the same reaction as you all. So I'm excited for it. So not to take anything away from the footage and not to do a comparison or whatever, but the only thing I can remember from Hall H, and I haven't gone back to watch it again because you really can't unless you look at the pirated version, but the only thing I can remember from Hall H is Thanos holding his arm up to the sky, clutching his fist with the gauntlet, and pulling a planet in orbit and hurling it into pieces towards Iron Man. That's the only thing I can remember. That's the only thing I can remember.
Well, some of this stuff is online, so you can go back and watch it.
But that's the thing. Like I'm sold. Like I don't want to see.
We're gonna get to the Thanos thing, but I kind of have that experience with the Infinity War trailer that you're having with Justice League. I don't remember shit about that Infinity War trailer.
Yeah, I know.
Really? Yeah, because it just blew me away. But we'll get to it. I've got a few things I want to talk about.
But the DC footage, like I was sold. Like when I saw it, I was just so excited. Like okay, I'm ready. And then, one thing I do remember is the final moments of that Justice League trailer. Yeah. There's a shot of Alfred, and he says, he said you'd come. I hope it's not too late. And so, as of right now, I'm aware that on social media there's this speculation as to who he was talking to.
I don't understand this. Like
we all know
it says
who it
hope.
is.
I mean, the newspaper says without hope. Hope. His symbol means fucking hope.
Trust me, I know. Damn, big hard.
I just don't understand. Like, oh, it might be the Green Lantern. Like.
Yeah,
at what point
people are like, if you look in Alfred's glasses, you see green, so it's Green Lantern. I'm like
Green Lantern hasn't been mentioned in any part of this extended universe as of yet.
But
Why
what about
would
Unite the Seven, Brian?
No. Okay. Does Hope have anything to do with Green Lantern?
No.
Okay. Hope is Superman.
I know.
Fucking Superman.
And here's the thing: I love as much as I would have liked to see Henry Cavill there. I love, firstly, that he wasn't there in person. Secondly, I love that they haven't shown him.
Yeah, they're
as
pretending
Superman.
that it's a mystery.
Well, not even to pretend, but I just love the fact that I'm pretty sure they're aware. Everyone knows that he's coming. I mean, look at how BVS ended with the dirt rising from the
they've
coffin.
announced that Superman's in the movie.
Right.
They've announced it.
Right, but I just like the fact that they haven't, he's not even in the marketing for it. And I like that they feel confident that they don't have.
That it's a mystery.
Much like the fact that they're confident that they don't have to use him in the marketing for the Justice League.
I hope that we walk into Justice League without having seen Superman.
Me too. That's what I'm hoping too. I think that they will. I think they learned their lesson with that whole Doomsday reveal in the trailer for BVS. I think they've learned their lesson because they don't need to show him because they don't need to sell us on that. They've sold us on these 5 characters coming together to fight this bigger threat from Steppenwolf. So it's already sold on that. You don't need to see Superman.
My favorite moment from the Justice League trailer is Cyborg stepping into the bat plane, mecha.
That was awesome.
And taking over. He's like, I got this, Alfred. And Alfred's like, who are you?
Yeah. I like when Flash zooms around and tips Wonder Woman's sword so that she can grab it. I thought that was awesome. Just seeing them work together.
I liked the Flash stuff. I like that he's playing kind of a Peter Parker, smart aleck kind of character.
Yeah.
And I love how scared he is to do battle.
It's coming back. He said, "You all are used to fighting. I'm just used to like pushing people
and running away." Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. I like
so
that.
I think that he's going to be a really fun character and something a kind of character that we haven't gotten in the DC cinematic universe as of yet.
Ezra Miller was full on fanboy mode. He was cosplaying as Elric from friggin' Full Metal Alchemist, which was fucking dope. But then, like, his energy, he had less cocaine energy, more like I don't
Teen
know, like
boy
like
energy,
speed and Red Bull energy. But as far as like his excitement for the film and being present in that moment in Hall H, I think he was right up there with Jason Momoa.
Yeah, just all their excitement. It's infectious.
Gal Gadot was
she's always a freaking light. She's an angel on earth.
And seeing her in light of Wonder Woman and the success of Wonder Woman was really good because you felt the audience just giving it to her because of that. And so that was a really good panel.
I love the instance when Ben Affleck was like, "How many people get to come in Hall H and say, I'm Batman?" And then Ezra Miller goes, "I'm Batman." That feels great. Smarty.
So after the Justice League footage, that was it for Warner Brothers, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, so I think it was the Women Who Kick Ass was next.
Yes.
Yeah, with Charlize.
Icon edition.
The Icon edition, with Charlize Theron.
And
I hit the restroom right before it because I like to go to the restroom between every single panel because the line is insane and I don't want to miss anything.
And you have integrity, so you're not going to get a bathroom ticket and go out.
No, I'm not.
Right.
No, I'm not. Plus, there's no.
All right, that's right, Darren.
There's no guarantee that it's going to be any faster.
That's right.
So right before this Women Who Kick Ass panel, I went into the ladies' restroom line that actually stretched the entire length of Hall H. It had never been so long. Yeah, so you know how like the women's restroom is in the front of Hall H and the men's restroom is in the back of Hall H? It went to the back of Hall H. It went all the way to the men's restroom. And so I took that as an opportunity to poll how the women who were already agitated because they all had to pee, how the women felt about there only being one woman on this panel. And they were all like, yeah, it's kind of a little bit lame and you know, like how they've done a good job of getting women of different ages and varieties, and how we still haven't seen all of the types of women there are yet. We still haven't seen women of size. We haven't seen character actresses. So, like, we're not done. We can't just move on to icons yet. But still, Charlize Theron, she's pretty amazing.
I agree with everything you said, Lisa. But I was disappointed that it wasn't a larger panel. I really do enjoy the conversations that come out of the Women Who Kick Ass panel. But Charlize Theron was awesome.
She was awesome.
And when I heard that it was going to be an EW reporter and Charlize Theron, I immediately went, ugh, this is going to be awkward and slow and dull. And it was anything but.
Yeah, the
first thing that was different was that moderator or person, she did not stand at the podium. She sat right next to Charlize Theron.
Her name was Sarah Vickomerson?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so I felt like that played a large part into the pacing and the back and forth.
Yeah, it felt more intimate and it felt more engaged. I think even with the 6,000 people in Hall H, it felt like an intimate interview, and I think everybody who was paying attention to that interview felt engaged in what Charlize Theron was talking about and what she was saying about women in film.
Now, even with your criticisms of how they put the panel together this year, Lisa, that aside, what were your thoughts on what was actually presented to us?
Oh, I thought that it was great. There was a lot of emphasis on how Charlize Theron is evolving her career as she ages. Because to us, of course, she is still clearly a goddess on Earth. But, you know, she's approaching 40, or she's over 40. I think she's over 40 now at this point, and she's moved into producing, and Atomic Blonde is a film that she has produced. And so, like, they did some of the generic questions, like the opening question was what were some of the women who influenced you. And of course, she started by saying her mom, her kick-ass mom. But then she mentioned Sigourney Weaver and Linda Hamilton. But then there was a lot of talk about how Atomic Blonde came about and how, like, the kind of movie that she wanted to make. And she had very much in mind as she's making this film, the idea of making a film that is going to empower women from like seeing themselves as strong and women seeing themselves as formidable against male violence and male opponents. And I found it particularly interesting about like with the fight choreography from Atomic Blonde. And we did get a huge swath of one of the major fight scenes from Atomic Blonde in Hall H. So we got to see some of this fight choreography in the hall, but how it was really important to her as an actress and as a producer of this film, presenting this film, that all of the fight moves that her character does are fight moves that women could do and women could accomplish. For example, she avoids punching at all costs because, you know, women are smaller. They have little delicate bones in their hands, and for women, it's not a very effective attack of a punch with a fist. So it's a lot of elbows, it's a lot of knees,
Open
it's a
palm
lot
strikes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of physics. It's just a matter of getting the upper hand with momentum and that kind of thing, and I just love the fact that she is thinking about that kind of thing. That when a woman watches this film, she wants them to go, well, this is something I can do. If I wanted to become a super badass spy, I could do it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Have you seen the movie, correct?
Yes.
Thoughts?
I really enjoyed it.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Especially the physicality side of things. The fights are phenomenal. And it's obvious that she was willing to put herself into those scenes wholeheartedly. There's not a lot of stunt double work going on. There's definitely some, but
even still,
but the hand-to-hand stuff.
I also like the fact that it was very much spoofing, not spoofing exactly, but it was an homage to like the Bond film, and it had a lot of those very stock elements, including a Bond girl. Like she had a Bond girl in what's that girl's name?
Sophia Botella.
Sophia Botella, and that scene was super hot, I thought. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
I agree. After that panel,
with Stranger Things, I'm going to go get a water.
Dang. All right.
Tell us how you really feel.
So, what were your thoughts on the Stranger Things panel, Brian?
I enjoyed it. It goes on record to say that I haven't finished season 1. I was about halfway through season 1. The show I wasn't as on board with the show as everybody else was. Like everybody, when this show premiered, I think last year or early last year, it was like a year and a half ago. Excuse me. Like everybody was raving about the show because of like the 80s nostalgia, and you know, that's the only thing I really heard about Stranger Things. But there was so much buzz around it, I really wanted to check it out. So I started to watch it, I think after Comic-Con last year, and I was starting to watch it, and I got to about episode 3, and I wasn't seeing it, you know, and I was like, this is only an 8-episode season. And so I'm expecting this to kind of kick off. So I want to see what everybody else is seeing. You know, I don't want to have to wait till episode 4, 5, 6. You know, by the end of the season for me to finally like get engaged into the story. So I just kind of fell off. I just started doing other things. But I gotta say, well, first with the panel itself, I thought Patton Oswalt was great as the moderator. I thought all the kids, and him and David Harbour, their chemistry together was fantastic. They were really fun to watch. And the cast was great. Those kids are just, I mean, they're just so charming and got so much charisma, like no type of stage fright. I mean, 6,000 people. If I was 11, 12 years old on that stage, I would be shitting bricks. Yeah. You know, so they were awesome.
We got a nice little Andrew Garfield Hall H moment.
Yeah, Barb. Yeah, got a nice little video of Barb too when she came to the when she came to the podium to ask a question, and then they pulled her up on stage. Dacre Montgomery, season 2, Red Ranger shout out. So he's in season 2.
Okay.
He was okay.
I did, even though I hadn't watched the first season at all. Well, we watched the first 3 episodes like Brian did.
The first 3 episodes. Okay.
But I really enjoyed the footage.
The trailer was great.
They used Thriller and with the Vincent Price voiceover, which was so cool.
Yeah.
That gave me chills because I've talked about before how Thriller was like the one thing that scared the living crap out of me as a child. Like when I was like 5 years old when Thriller hit, like it's just the thing that scared me. So like when I heard Vincent Price's voice and heard the music, like I started getting goosebumps. I was like, oh shit. I was like, because every time I hear Thriller or just anything, it takes me back to that, and I just get like, oh shit. But I thought using that was perfect to establish that tone.
Yeah.
All right. After the Stranger Things panel,
well, Lisa had to go to the bathroom again.
Because I go between every panel, and this time. The only reason it's super important to the story, I guess, is this time I had a celebrity encounter in the restroom. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Patton Oswalt.
I wish. Why would he be going to the ladies' room?
It's Comic-Con.
So we're in line, and from the front comes like from the side stage comes Tessa Thompson and 2 handlers.
Yeah.
And she was wearing this really cute asymmetrical double-breasted trench, and I was just like, oh my goodness, that's the chick from the Thor trailer. I'm like, that's so cool. And the one of the handlers, I think a security guy, goes, are we really gonna do this? And Tessa is just like beaming and giggling, and I was just like
they don't have a bathroom behind.
I guess not. So she gets, of course, to cut the line, and I'm really proud of me and my Comic-Con sisters because we did not geek out. But of course, as soon as she entered the restroom ahead of us, we all turned around. That was Tessa Thompson. That was Tessa Thompson. and I'm thinking I'm like, what's the rush? Because I was thinking she was here for the Marvel panel. I didn't realize that she was also in Westworld.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And which is. So the entire time, and because of that, and so she just went into the restroom and went right back out. So it's not like I was like, hey, wash your hands because I want to peck.
She's badass in Westworld. She's a boss. Like she runs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because after having that brush with fame in the ladies' room.
Yeah.
Though I also have met Melissa Joan Hart in a ladies' room. Oh. And by met, I mean just been in the ladies' room at the same time.
Sabrina.
I was watching her that entire panel because I was just like, we're friends now. We're P sisters. And so I watched her the entire time, and they barely let her speak at all.
She didn't talk at all.
She didn't talk.
Westworld panel. Yeah.
So I was just like, well, you didn't have to hurry. You could have just peed through this panel.
Really?
Well, so that Westworld panel
was
massive.
Yeah.
One. I mean, that table did not stop on that stage. It kept on going.
I know.
Because you had obviously Evan Rachel Wood and Ed Harris, Tessa Thompson, James Marsden, but they brought like Jeffrey Wright. They brought every cast member on stage, and then Reggie Watts was the host.
I love Reggie Watts.
Like I love Reggie Watts too.
He's a terrible moderator.
I thought he came around, but for like the first 15-20 minutes of the panel he would not let anybody speak other than the showrunner.
He was very self-serving. He wanted all of his questions from the previous season answered by the creators.
I am excited about season 2. This is another instance of Brian, you gotta watch Game of Thrones. Brian, you gotta watch Game of Thrones. Brian, you gotta watch Game of Thrones. I'm gonna start it right now. Brian, you should watch Westworld.
All right, it's only one season. I'll try.
Here we go again.
I'll try with you, Brian.
Here we go again. It's a great show.
I've been hearing mixed things. It's not like Game of Thrones where everybody's on board. I've been hearing mixed things about Westworld.
Look, Evan Rachel Wood, her character has a great arc in it. Tandy Newton has a great... Those two characters are actually like the two main characters of the show. Two strong female characters who have exceptional character arcs in just the first season alone, where they start and where they end up, and that final episode, that cliffhanger type of episode, it's just really great storytelling, and what they do with the timetable in which that the story is told and how the narrative unfolds. And Ed Harris as the man in black is just, he's so good. He's so good. You dig him, Brad, as a fan of Westerns. Like, he's really good in that role. You're going to be like, well, why aren't there more Ed Harris in Westerns? You want more.
Appaloosa.
Yeah, that. Jeffrey Wright is Jeffrey Wright. He's always phenomenal, but he gives a really good and heartfelt performance.
On a scale of Silence of the Lambs to Transformers: The Last Night, how engaged is Anthony Hopkins?
Oh, he's because he's acting opposite Jeffrey Wright and Evan Rachel Wood, and he's not slacking, because they're giving their everything. As like I said, Jeffrey Wright is known to do. I've not seen a lot of Evan Rachel Wood, so I can't talk about her previous roles and her performances in them, but he's working with good material, so, and he knows it, and you can tell that he knows he's working with good material, so he's giving a really good performance as well, and just his character and how the intricacies that go along with how it's written and things that he does and lets us into, and what we don't know about him.
I'm so sorry, I don't know who's calling the fire engine to the dark cave. Sorry.
But yeah, Anthony Hopkins he's on his A game in this. Everyone is. Rodrigo Santoro, is that his name? The guy Xerxes, the guy from Lost.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome in it. So yeah, it's a phenomenal cast all the way around, and it's really good science fiction. Really good science fiction. So yeah, and Brad, it's Western shit. It's got it has pays homage to your Western tropes, as well as some good sci-fi stuff. So
I know one of my favorite comic book writers, Ed Brubaker, worked on it, so I'm sure it's great.
Check it out. All right, Westworld panel's over. Then what happens? Lisa, you go to the bathroom one last time?
Yeah, I do.
Boop. And then what happens when you come back?
It's time for the Marvel panel.
That's why we are all there.
Yes, indeed.
Very few people get into Hall H, see Stranger Things, and leave. I'm just here for the Women Who Kick Ass panel. No, you're not. You're just tolerating the Women Who Kick Ass panel.
Aww.
But you know what I'd say? Last year, I think there was a lot of tolerating going on. During that Star Trek panel, during Fantastic Beasts,
Alien.
There was a lot of people just like waiting for those panels to be done until Marvel got on.
Yeah.
This year was a better crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They were engaged through the entire experience, at least the folks near me.
Yeah, because I think there was more variety for people to kind of be into. I mean, in that hall with 6,000 people, there's going to be a lot of Stranger Things fans in there. There's going to be fans from Westworld in there. Last year, you had a lot more retrospective panels with the Star Trek, with the Alien anniversary panel. So you may not have had people as engaged to, as many people to fill that hall. So I think this one, it was a little bit better than last year.
Because those slots for last year were filled this year with things that are popular currently in pop culture.
Yeah.
So the Marvel panel kicks off with
Chris Hardwick is moderator.
And does Kevin Feige come out before Kevin Feige introduces the first batch of footage or the retrospective?
Yeah, the footage with Michael Pena and Paul Rudd.
It's introduced by Feige, right?
I think it's introduced by Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, I think Chris Hardwick introduced that, and then when that's done, then Feige comes out and we talk about all the announcements.
So let's talk about that Paul Rudd, Michael Pena stuff.
Great opening.
How fun! Like, since seeing Ant-Man, you just knew Michael Pena, that character, had to do the summary of everything. He did the summary of everything that's happened in the MCU with Paul Rudd, and it was just so perfect and so funny.
And in keeping with his character from Ant-Man, certainly, but we've been in Hall H where we've had that retrospective of here's the MCU for the last 8 years, and it gives you this awesome montage, and it always pumps you up. You get super excited. Or like when they did Mad Max Fury Road and they showed all the Road Warrior stuff leading up to Fury Road, you get super pumped by that. But here you had like a short film, basically.
And nobody knew where it was leading, because you thought the way that the piece was put together, it seemed like Paul Rudd and Michael Pena was talking to us, the audience.
And throwing a lot of shade at Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, with Charlie Chaplin. I thought that was great. And then like the shade they threw with Incredible Hulk, I thought was great. So they did a great job of kind of like going through the last 8, 9, 10 years of Marvel. But you think they're talking to us, and then you realize that they're letting the next person who's going to play Janet Van Dyne, who we find out is going to be Michelle Pfeiffer, when they switch the camera around and you see her sitting across the table.
And so I thought that was a really great way to drop some news.
It was a fun reveal. Yeah. It was really fun.
And I mean, how perfect is Michelle Pfeiffer for
awesome.
The Wasp? Awesome.
Yeah.
And that means we're going to get double the Wasp.
And double the Ant-Man, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they started to show some concept art, and you see Michael Douglas in the Ant-Man suit. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, the concept art looked wonderful. The animatics looked great. We're going to get Giant Man's going to return.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the film that follows Infinity War too.
Yeah.
So that's you know
all of these films. By the time next Comic-Con, we've seen all of them.
Well, not Ant-Man. We wouldn't have seen.
It comes out July 7th.
What?
July 6th or 7th. It comes out right before.
That's nuts.
So yeah, 4 Marvel movies. By the time next Comic-Con, we've seen all of them.
Not Captain Marvel though.
No. That's going to be the following year.
Because then the next thing, Kevin Feige comes out and he does some casting news for Captain Marvel. He shows us some concept art. You get
he does casting news for Ant-Man, because he talks about Randall Parks, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, Randall Park is going to be Jimmy Woo from Agents of Atlas. That's insane.
Yeah.
Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins is going to be in it. Yes. Lawrence Fishburne's going to play Goliath. Yes. Bill Foster. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Jimmy Woo stuff. That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, so he rounds out the cast announcements for Ant-Man and the Wasp, but then he goes into, I think, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, we get some concept art. We see her in the contemporary Captain Marvel uniform.
And it looks dope.
She looks awesome.
Really good.
Fashion forward hair.
Some artwork of Captain Marvel punching some Kree soldiers. He announces that Nick Fury is going to be in the film. He's going to have 2 eyes because it's in the 90s. It's a prequel film. I think that's a totally rad idea.
That soundtrack's going to be awesome.
And the biggest news of the entire day for me is he announces Skrulls as the threat against Captain Marvel.
So you know what that means.
All bets are off.
Secret invasion.
It's interesting, though, because if you look at the timeline of when these movies are released, and I don't know a lot about the Skrulls. I know they're shapeshifters and things of that nature, but considering the fact that, okay, we have Infinity War that comes out next summer, and then Captain Marvel is in between that and the next Infinity War, whatever Avengers 4 is going to be, this movie taking place in the 90s, I think is going to play into whatever that fourth Avengers movie is, whether it is we find out that some of our Avengers, or if Nick Fury is an actual Skrull and orchestrated this whole thing. It's going to be interesting to see how, because
how bold are they going to be?
You're scrambling my brain right now. B, stop. That's nuts. That is nuts. Well, because if Captain Marvel leads into Avengers 4, with it being set in the 90s, then what does that say about the events of Infinity War? Because when does this Infinity War takes place? The first, Avengers 3.
Avengers 3 is going to be. We know it's post Civil War, right?
Yeah. So Captain Marvel happens before Infinity War.
Sure.
And then Avengers 4 happens after Infinity War, but also after Captain Marvel. So
yeah, but just as far as the events, how that's going to play into whatever Avengers 4 is going to be, as we reveal who the Skrulls are. Not necessarily the timeline within the MCU.
So that means everything after the 90s. So that means the Tony Stark from the original Iron Man is actually a Skrull?
Not necessarily. I'm not saying all of them are going to be Skrulls. But
we're going to have some Skrulls.
Yeah. It'll be interesting if, say, somebody like Nick Fury was a Skrull and he was the one that orchestrated to bring these people together for maybe to try to do something. I don't know. It's interesting to see what the placement of where this movie is leading into Avengers 4. I think is Because, all these movies are planned out.
Hawkeye can be a Skrull, and that would be super fucked up because he has like a family and shit.
Skrull babies, Scrabies.
But you're right. This is interesting to see where that's going to take, because he said it's going to be a major shift after Avengers Infinity War.
We know from Young Avengers that nice things can come from the love of a human and a Skrull.
We sure do. Where do you go after Thanos? And I think Skrulls is an answer. That's definitely that's a major threat.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting because you're not going to get Super Skrull. Apparently, the Super Skrull is still owned by 20th Century Fox. Yeah. Just like you're not going to get Uatu, but you can have the other Watchers. There are races that Marvel can use, but there aren't characters that Marvel can use.
Specific characters, right.
But it's all very exciting. I don't know. That was the biggest news for me. I mean, I love the footage that we got to see, but nothing topped seeing the concept art because
they look perfect.
They look like Skrulls.
They look like Skrulls.
You can't fuck up a Skrull though.
Yeah, sure you can.
You get the bumpy.
You can't fuck up a Galactus. Yeah, you can. You can't fuck up the Silver Surfer. Sure.
You can't fuck up the Green Goblin. Wait, what?
You can't fuck up Doctor Doom.
Oh no. So after Captain Marvel,
with Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. And Kevin Feige did get an Inkpot Award following that.
And that was awesome. Because he seemed genuinely appreciative of it.
I think that it is an actual honor. I mean, I've seen a couple. I saw Joss Whedon get an Inkpot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave Jeff Loeb one on Friday during the Defenders panel, and he was moved by it. So
I mean, and you have to think about it. And I'm pretty sure it ain't just Kevin Feige orchestrating everything at Marvel. I'm pretty sure he has a substantial team around him that helped get everything going. But for his part in what he has done with the MCU, as unprecedented as it is, I think that, it's really something, it really is something special in the cinematic landscape. And so, he, at the very least, deserves an Inkpot Award.
And I think that it's also a gesture that says, you're part of the Comic-Con culture.
Please come back every year and
come
show
back
us
all the time.
exclusive footage. Yeah, so then we get Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Ooh, I remember this trailer.
Well, and they've shown the trailer online now. You can all go watch it. But they didn't show you everything that we saw.
No.
And, for me, it's when you watch a trailer, you certainly see a lot of Taika Waititi in the movie. Yes. And I know it's concerned some people, the tone of this film. Is it going to be too comedic or what have you? But the rest of the footage that we saw of Thor being dragged in that chair through like Star Tours is what it looked like to me, where he's being brought into the Game Master's office down this psychedelic corridor while they play Willy Wonka. They literally play.
It is a direct homage to that horrifying tunnel sequence, that boat and the Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
And you get the first conversation between Grandmaster and Thor, and Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, and what's her name from Hunt for the Wilder People, and it's an incredible
Rachel House.
Thank you, Rachel House. It's an incredible Taika Waititi moment, and it does put you off for a bit because it doesn't feel like a Marvel scene. Some people are saying like, "Oh, it's a little too Guardians of the Galaxy." No, it is straight Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced to a scene between Thor and Korg, the rock creature voiced by Taika Waititi, doing this Polynesian bouncer voice. Kind of like a Mike Tyson-y sounding voice. Hey Thor, what are you going to do, Thor? That's my Mike Tyson, by the way.
Huge
so good.
stature, this huge giant stature,
and it's weird. It's a weird scene. It's a weird voice. It's super Taika Waititi. I just keep saying that. It's what we do in the shadows. It is Hunt for the Wilder People in the MCU, and I am down.
I'm utterly charmed by it, and I hope that everybody is.
But for me, I don't find it as jarring as a lot of people, because I think for the most part, Thor as a character within the MCU, starting with his own films, has been working up to this particular tone. He has become one of, if not the comedy relief in the films that he's in. He's become I don't want to say silly, but he's become like a very comedic character. They're
lighthearted,
very much lighthearted, and I think that the sensibilities that the character has been given up to this point lend themselves to Taika Waititi's speciality and taking lightheartedness and blending it with heart, and then also with characters and rich characterization.
And I think that like we've seen Chris Hemsworth now do comedy. We saw him do comedy in the fun little clip from last year. He was
Ghostbusters.
The funniest thing in Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
And I think that at some point we are going to have to create that bridge between Guardians of the Galaxy and the rest of the Marvel Universe. And I think that this is going to be the perfect movie to do that, because if we've learned anything from Guardians of the Galaxy, space is weird. And space is full of weirdos like us.
And narratively, it is going to be pretty grim. I mean, the Hela stuff is apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And they're not going to shortchange us on any of that. But they're also not going to shortchange us on the character work between Thor and Hulk. And they revealed at this panel that, Hulk, since the events of Age of Ultron, has not gone back to Banner. He's been living as Hulk.
I love it.
As such, he has a stronger vocabulary.
I love
He's attained the ability to speak.
I love it.
And yeah,
I love that.
It's so good.
I love the fire conversation.
Hulk like.
do it, Darren. Hulk like fire. That's when Darren does it. That's
like, we're sort of the same, you and I. Yes, Hulk like fire, Thor like water. No, more like fire too. Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire.
So cute.
I love it. I'm so excited, but also we do get to see Mark Ruffalo as Banner in the film, which I'm glad to see.
And you get the plot of Thor's on Sakaar is putting a team together: Hulk, Valkyrie, Korg, Loki. It's going to be a Dirty Dozen-ish type of story.
Yeah. And we're very much excited about that. And that's coming up in a few short months in November. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, you see the Thor Ragnarok trailer, this footage, even if you are not in Hall H and you've seen the trailer, and you do have some reservations about the tone of the film, what we got to see in Hall H with regards to the Infinity War footage and how that opens shows you and gives you an idea that yes, Thor is lighthearted, but it's going to end on maybe a not so lighthearted note because of how the Guardians first meet Thor and come into contact with him. But before we get into that, we have to talk about a very special panel. Brian?
Black Panther.
Yes, sir.
The cast for Black Panther hits the stage with Kevin Feige. So we have Ryan Coogler, who I'm just over the moon, ecstatic in love with. Michael B. Jordan, Danai Gurira, Lupita Nyong'o, who's my new crush.
She's so sweet.
For many, many reasons. Just the whole cast came out there, and it was just fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. So they talked a little bit about the film, and we got to see a little bit of footage. I know a lot of people were talking about that casino scene, and which is very reminiscent of like James Bond. And I thought, oh goodness, the guy we just met, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis as Claw. I thought he is menacing and gives a very
enormous. Like his back looks huge.
Yeah, like I don't know how because he's a very small man when you meet him up close. But in that
scoliosis, in the gym.
I know. Maybe he lost all that weight after the film for another part. I don't know, but yeah, he looks menacing.
He got his sonic arm and sonic hand.
Yeah, but the footage was absolutely fantastic. I mean, just that whole vibe of that opening scene in the casino. Like I said, it definitely has a very James Bond feel. And hearing Danai Gurira, Lupita, and Chadwick Boseman on the intercoms as they're like spying on Claw, and then you hear them talking their native tongue, their native language, their native African language. It just feels I don't know, Ryan Coogler feels like he has such a grasp on the character and the vibe and the tone, and still able to bring some of that Marvel comedy into it with Claw and oh goodness,
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman, he says like, it's, you have your posse with you, coming out with a mixtape or something like that. So I thought all that stuff was great. And seeing the way Ryan Coogler uses the camera, the same way like in that opening fight scene in Creed, how that's a one shot, and the way he's able to move when you see them fighting, and the way he moves the camera from one action set piece and going into the balcony and seeing Denai Guerrera fight, and then when you see the reveal of her staff, her vibranium staff come from her bracelet. It's just, it was just awesome.
So we are how many films deep into the MCU now?
Right now, 16, I think.
16 films deep into the MCU. I would say out of all those films, Captain America, especially Winter Soldier, maybe a little bit in Civil War. Those are really the two that stick out to me regarding choreographed action sequences related to hand-to-hand combat. And the brief moments in the opening of Winter Soldier, when he's infiltrating that ship, we get to see some Captain America hand-to-hand stuff that we didn't see in the first Avenger. And then, you had the elevator fight sequence and his fight towards the end of the film with Bucky. We see also some more hand-to-hand stuff in Civil War with Bucky and Cap, and then Bucky and the guys who were breaking into the apartment in the stairway fight. And a little back and forth at the airport, and also some stuff with Black Panther. But I say all that to say, the fight choreography that you're just talking about in that scene that you were just mentioning, Brian, is some of the best, if not the best, even though it's just this one sequence that I've seen out of the MCU. And if not only because it's so different from anything else in the MCU. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. And that just speaks to and lends itself to everything else about Black Panther. The cast, the color of the cast, the color palette used in the film, the locations in the film, the attention to detail with authenticity in regards to how the culture is this fictionalized culture is cultivated from real life African cultures.
Yeah, and that's what I actually loved about the trailer. I mean, the trailer, is so deeply steeped in African culture, and that's the thing that I love about it. Even from the costume design, like a lot of people talk about Afrofuturism, and we don't see a lot of that in cinema. It's something that's kind of you see in a lot of independent comics, but I forget the costume designer. I was trying to look up her name, but she really goes into detail into being able to take the culture and bring that into more of like a futuristic science fiction element, and and also just the world of Wakanda. This feels like, even though it's going to be a Black Panther film, it feels like this is going to be a film that is more about the land of Wakanda. We've never seen this land. We've never seen the richness of this world of Wakanda, like the whole idea about the Wakanda knows about the world, but the world doesn't know about Wakanda, and they like to keep it that way because of the rich resource of vibranium. And I think that also plays into the fact that this world takes place in Africa, and it's something that, again, it goes back to representation. And I think this is something that Black people as a whole can just feel proud of and just feel, just deeply moved and proud of. And that's how I feel watching this footage. Like I said, just to have a character like this that can be taken seriously. It's not something like Meteor Man or Blank Man. Where it's like, it's like we have characters like Blade, but a character that is steeped in African culture, that's a powerful character that we can look up to and be proud of, and not somebody that is lampooning the superhero genre like Robert Townsend or somebody like that. Not taking anything away from that, but like I said, we can have characters that's better than that, that's more than that. And I like the fact that we have a character like this with Black Panther. So I loved it. I loved the footage.
The costume designer is Ruth Carter, and we were actually sitting not too far from her, as it turned out. Yeah, I found out afterwards. Wow. But she worked on Malcolm X. She worked on Selma, Amistad, Black Dynamite.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I mean,
nice.
she's worked on a lot of stuff. Chirac, a lot of movies that we hold dear.
Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts, Brad and Lisa, on seeing this extended sequence and then some footage that we hadn't seen prior to the trailers?
I mean, I echo everything that you two have said. It's stunning to see in motion, and what you were saying, Darren, about the hand-to-hand combat, and Brian, what you were saying about Coogler's camera.
Yeah.
It moves unlike any camera in the MCU.
Yeah.
So the footage for me really stood out apart from the style that we've seen in previous entries.
Absolutely.
Now it might have a similar color palette that cements it within this franchise, but it just looks and moves unlike anything else. And Wakanda itself is going to separate it from any other movie.
Yeah.
And also the talent on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel kills it when they assemble their casts, but this has to be one of the strongest ones that they've assembled.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Kaluuya, bringing him in, and I didn't know if he would get lost in this cast, but knowing that he's a childhood friend of T'Challa, feels like he's going to have a bigger role in this. Seeing Angela Bassett in this as his mother, like, it's just beautiful just to see
Forrest
her.
Whitaker?
His first time at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Just
Ghost
man.
Dog.
And then even Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, who plays his sister. I mean, just having everybody in there just looks absolutely
Winston
fantastic.
Duke, I'm really excited about his M'Baku.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Oh, and Andy Serkis Claw. He gets his claw, his sonic arm.
And I love the way that the suit kind of, I almost compared it to the Power Rangers. Almost it morphs onto them, because we see one shot with Michael B. Jordan in the trailer when he does that stance when he's about to. It seems like he's about to fight the Dora Milaje, and then it cuts. But in the trailer, in the stuff we saw at Hall H, when you see Michael B. Jordan kind of get into that fighting stance, like it almost like his armor and his suit morphs into like this golden Black Panther suit. It just looks incredible. And then you see him and Black Panther fighting as they fall over a cliff. And the footage looks it just looks really, really good.
What were your thoughts, Lisa? How did you take the footage?
The whole
panel.
The whole panel. The footage was absolutely amazing. Yeah. There is a lot about Wakanda that is so interesting and so engaging. Not just the marriage between technology and the tribal African culture, that visually is stunning and also disarming, because it's generally not what you associate with African culture. We generally what we're associated with is those commercials that we see on TV where everything looks very
third world country.
Mm-hmm. And the presentation of the celebration of the culture married to the technology. Also, the gender relations within Wakanda are very interesting. The genders are the roles of the genders are very distinct, but they're also very equal. And this idea of women are warriors, women have a very vital role. And an equal role in this culture, I think, is very intriguing.
What I'm excited about is how this film, and sort of what Ta-Nehisi Coates has done in the current Black Panther run in the comics, is it appears to be not just the Black Panther story, not just T'Challa's story. Yeah. It appears to be the Wakandan story.
And that's what I'm excited to see. It's just to see this world on screen and how Ryan Coogler brings this world to life. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, I got a kick out of sitting next to Zachary. First of all, this is his first Marvel Hall H panel. Yeah. But then, as the young black man, him seeing, that entire cast of that film, be a representation of him, his people, his family and himself, and then see that film at that quality look like nothing else he's ever seen, and seeing blackness portrayed with in a majestic fashion and royalty, and then seeing people of all races and all color in the audience sitting next to him respond positively to people that look like him meant everything to him. He still talks to me about that.
So awesome.
And so that's, to a lot of people, it's a movie, it's a comic book movie, but to people like Zachary, to people like Brian, myself, like, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. So much so that it really can't be put into words fully.
And we feel it, like, in the black community, like, people who don't read comics, they feel it. That's why I feel like this movie is so much bigger than just a comic book movie. Granted, yeah, it is a Marvel movie and it fits within the MCU, but this movie in particular just there's an energy to it that I could feel kind of reverberating in the black community. Like, people they're waiting for this. They've been wanting this. And it's like, regardless if you read comics or not, it's like it don't matter if you read comics or not. Like, this is something that people want to see, that people need to see, especially like in the light of the world that we live in now with things that have been happening. It's just, I don't know. I'm just super excited. I'm just glad that this is the time that a character like this is finally being given some light.
And so that would bring us to the final panel of the evening. As always, in grand fashion.
It wasn't really a panel. Kevin Feige came there just to talk about 2 movies.
Oh, wait. With Tom Hiddleston, they came out. There's more footage.
More footage?
Yeah, wait. Oh.
And so this little bit of footage would happen to be our first glimpse in Hall H at what the MCU is about to present to us with Avengers Infinity War.
I could not take it all in.
I took kind of scrawled notes, and we might have to we might have to put together.
So it opens up with Thor floating in space.
So we see the Guardians first. Mantis is with them.
Yeah.
And they're flying through some space debris
in the Milano.
Yeah. One of my favorite spaceships.
We got a Hot Wheel of it.
We did. We got a Hot Wheel of it.
And going through some space debris, someone smacks against their windshield.
Yeah.
And it is Thor in his garb and his makeup, looking from like he just got kicked out of Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. And so that is what
Rocket has that great line, like, get it off the wind.
Yeah. And so that is what I was referencing earlier in regards to, yes, we have a lighthearted Taika Waititi tinged Thor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that movie is going to begin and end that way, because Thor looks a little worse for wear when he brushes up against that windshield of the Milano.
Yeah.
So they open the hatch, they bring Thor in, he's laying on the ground, and we have our first look at the Guardians standing around one of the original Avengers, and then Thor wakes up and
Mantis wakes him up.
Wakes him up, and Thor is like, "Who the hell are you?" And so this is...
You don't remember this?
No.
You serious?
No.
I mean, I can see when the action kicks in, like it was going so fast, but that opening sequence...
I went white. Like my vision went white.
That's the whole reason you came.
I know. I was too excited.
And so then the Marvel Studios logo comes up. And then after that, I went white. So I couldn't tell you what happens after that.
I think I did too.
Yeah, okay, so then at some point we get a shot of Spider-Man, and he's on top of like a bus or something.
Yeah, so I remember
he's sitting in the school bus.
He's in a school bus, okay.
He's in the school bus,
and he's Peter Parkered out. He's not wearing a suit.
And then he gets the spider sense.
Yeah, his hair stands up on end, so he's got the Spidey sense.
So this is the moment I remember the most. Is boom, spider sense. Some shit's happening. Maybe he's sensing Thanos is there.
Everyone loses their shit.
Yeah, once his hairs goes up, and like everybody just yells.
And then I think almost immediately,
then we get
or at least my mind jumps to the shot of him in his Iron Spider suit, which is the same suit at the end of Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like my memory of it, and no one's written about this, but my memory of it is that suit is lit in the webbing, that the webbing lights up a little, and it looks what's the word I'm looking for? Incandescent.
Bioluminescent.
The way that his current Spider-Man suit does in The Amazing Spider-Man. Did that happen?
I don't know.
Probably.
I wrote down.
No one has written about that. How the suit looks like the current Dan Slott Amazing Spider-Man glowy suit. But in my mind, it lit up.
Yeah.
We got a shot of Thanos. Did we?
We got a shot of Thanos. There was a couple shots. I
got a shot
remember
of Vision
shots. I remember
in a
shots.
cage.
I remember. Now I don't know what planet. They're not on Earth. I don't know what planet they're fighting on. But there was one moment where Doctor Strange was making like these.
Doctor Strange was in the trailer.
Yeah, he was making like these platforms.
Oh yeah.
And Star-Lord was like walking on them as Doctor Strange was making them, and then he flips upside down, and I think he shoots at Thanos.
There's a ton of Guardians in this.
Yeah, it's very Guardians heavy, and then we get a shot of Gamora where she's kind of looking really distraught, maybe because she's seeing her
It looks
father.
like she's at the collector's. She's back at the collector's place, and she turns around. She's got tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
So Nebula's dead.
And then then we see a shot of Scarlet Witch, and I think she's looking at Vision, but Vision looks like he's behind bars.
He's in a cage.
Yeah.
He's in like a cage. So I don't know. I don't know if you can still see
his forehead is purposely obscured.
So you don't see if he still has the stone or not. Now I don't know. They could be. Somebody said there was a theory that they might be trying to keep Vision away so that Thanos doesn't get to Vision, to try to keep that stone away from him.
Because, I mean, like, what kind of cage could hold Vision?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know.
Now,
but if you take the stone out,
I think he doesn't have the stone. Because the stone gives him power, not life. The stone gives him power. So if you take his stone away,
then
he
he's
doesn't
just
have
a
the
robot.
power. Right. And I also think I seem to remember, like how Brad is remembering iridescent light in Spidey's webbing on his suit. I seem to remember that yellow stone being one of the two. I think Thanos only had 2 or 3 stones in his gauntlet.
He didn't have
all of them when he pulled the planet out of orbit. But one of those stones, I want to say, was the yellow stone.
Oh, no.
So Vision, I'm assuming, gets the stone removed. That's why he's behind a cage and doesn't have to phase through a bit.
And then we had a shot, I think it was in Wakanda, with Winter Soldier, and there was an army behind him, and then you see Black Panther with like his army behind him. And then we get the one shot with Cap with the beard.
Yeah, I called him, in my notes, I called him Casual Cap.
So a spear was thrown.
A spear was thrown, and he moves out the way and catches it. And then you see him. Yeah, Nomad. So it's just like shots, I remember.
Scarlett Johansson was blonde.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson, we got a shot of her blonde because her and Cap were still on the run.
A shot of Spider-Man who looks like he's got the shit beat out of him.
He says,
apologizing.
Yeah, he says, I'm sorry. He says, I'm sorry, Tony. And then there was a shot with Tony with the Guardians where they were on that planet, which was cool to see. You see Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit with Star-Lord, Drax, and I think Doctor Strange, and it like dollies in on them. I thought, I was like, wow.
And then cool. Star-Lord says, "Oh no!" And then you see this void open up, and that's when you get your first real good glimpse at Thanos. He steps out of this black hole.
Yeah, it was like a black cloud, and it opens up like a portal, like, and then he just kind of like walks through like a G.
Like, he says something about one doesn't normally think about fun when writing the balance of the universe, setting the balance of the universe, but something about he's having fun.
But yeah, I think I'll have fun with this or something like that.
And then that's when he has there
was another shot where Thanos is holding Thor's head. It was like he's about to squeezing Thor's head, almost like he's about to crush it.
Yeah,
and I remember that shot. Yeah,
Then we have Thanos with the gauntlet, and it's a low angle looking up at him, and he raises his hand up to the sky, and he makes a fist, and then like. I can't tell if a planet comes into orbit behind him or if one that was already in orbit splits.
No, it's a low angle shot, and you see Thanos, and he has the glove on, and then he pulls his hand, and you see the moon or the planet in the background, and you see it come closer.
Right.
And then as he lunges his hand forward, it splits, and it comes down like asteroids. Yeah.
He pulled a planet in orbit, and then he hurled it in pieces at freaking the Guardians and Tony. It was bad.
At one time, he punched Tony. It showed Thanos when he was fighting Iron Man, and he punched him. Yeah, it looks insane.
Yeah,
should have saw it, Brad.
Should have.
It was nuts.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I remember is pure joy. Yeah.
So that's coming in a few months, right? May is it May of next year?
Yeah, May 4th. May 4th.
Just gotta survive till then.
Yeah,
gotta make it, man.
So that was pretty much it for Marvel's panel. Got a ticket for some goodies to pick up in the redemption room.
Those posters
are great. They're awesome.
Are awesome. Thick cardstock.
Thor Ragnarok and
but the
Black
framing.
Panther.
Did you guys frame? Because I measured it.
It's a weird size.
It's
like
a weird.
18
yeah,
by
it's a weird size.
You're gonna have to get them specially framed. No, I didn't frame them because they're in transit right now.
No. Oh, it's still in transit. Okay.
So yeah, that's Saturday Hall H.
Yeah, Saturday was great.
So Sunday, pretty low key day.
Well, Sunday, the original plan was I'm going to get up so early and I'm going to win a raffle so I can get the Black Panther signing for Zach.
Yeah.
And at least if you win like you did, if you bring that Frank Miller luck, we'll give that ticket to Brian. That was our goal.
Oh, nice.
But we got there. We didn't sleep in that late, although it turns out we did. We got there about 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Got into the general admission line, and by the time we got to the door, they had capped the raffle line for Black Panther. No. So that was like 15 minutes into the day being open. So like at 9:15, the line had been capped for the Black Panther signing raffle, just for the raffle.
And the line was so long that actually by the time the winning last raffle ticket was pulled,
they turned away hundreds of people.
There were people who never even got to pull.
Ouch.
So
yeah, like 100 people just didn't even get a chance.
Damn.
That's crazy.
So to next time, if we
want to
do that, we got to get in there like Hall H time.
Because that's another like Comic-Con thing that we have not managed to do is get one of those big signings.
That'd be cool.
I'm gonna try for that next year then.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So we're gonna do it next year.
Let's do it next year.
Yeah.
Let's try it. Yeah.
So we're not quitting Comic-Con.
No,
What?
never.
Just because we didn't meet Joss Whedon this time.
What does that mean?
No.
Quit Comic-Con?
What tomfoolery do you
Okay,
speak
good. I just wanted to make sure we hadn't talked about it. We're still doing Comic-Con next year.
Of course. Even if I don't get badges, I'm going.
You're damn right. You know what we didn't mention, and I think it happened for you on Sunday. You were looking at a booth next to Michael Rooker.
Oh, I know. I was walking. I was walking on the floor, and Mike. He didn't even have a huge entourage. Maybe two guys with him. A guy in front of him and a guy behind him, and they weren't even like stiff arming people or hey, move out of the way. He brushed shoulders with me, and I didn't notice he was to my right until he was immediately to my right, and I look up and I go, "Hey!" And he was very generous and, "Hey, Yondu," and he gave me a wave and a smile, and I was like, "Okay." I kept it moving.
Unlike mine when I saw Ninja.
Yeah, talk about that.
I was at the IDW booth because, of course, Turtles. So I was in there. He was there with some people talking, and I literally just walked right past Ninja from Die Antwoord.
Chappie!
Yeah, and I part of me wanted to go up and ask for a picture.
Why didn't you, though?
I was hesitant because he has a reputation, and I saw another guy go up and ask for a picture, and he just kind of brushed him off. He was like, nah. I was like, okay, cool, good. So just got my camera and kind of snapped a quick shot.
A creeper shot.
Yeah, creeper shot.
Excellent.
And, but I saw Ninja from Die Antwoord.
That's cool.
What do you guys think of the cosplay this year?
It was actually really good, I thought. Really good. I saw some really good ones. I thought that Lady Thor that we saw just walking around.
And I finally caught up with her. There were actually there were a few Lady Thors, Jane Foster Thors, but hers was top notch.
That was really good. Really good. So yeah, there were some good ones.
Brian and I saw a screen accurate Deadpool.
That's right.
That could have been Ryan Reynolds. If that dude did some more sit-ups, that could have been like.
It looked like the authentic costume from the
right
movie.
off the set.
Yeah.
You could not tell that was
crazy.
Store-bought. Yeah, it was amazing.
Lisa?
I saw a Groot, a walking Groot.
Yes,
I
do.
He was like 10 feet tall with this. He must have had stilts on underneath.
Oh yeah.
But it was clearly all made out of like this flat plastic that he had scored to make the texture of the wood. It wasn't like film accurate. Like, Brad and I later went to California Adventure and they had like a screen accurate Groot you can get a picture with. But this guy had clearly put a ton of work into it. And what made it extra special was that day I had cosplayed as Don Greenwood. I had upgraded my costume from last year to add since in this past year, Michael Allred, the artist, has added like a jacket. She wears a jacket sometimes now with these spots on the side. So I had added the jacket. But Don Greenwood has also appeared in a couple issues of Groot, which is a comic, Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy is put out by the team of Josh Loveness
and Brian
Kissinger. So I was able to get a picture with the walking Groot in my Don Greenwood cosplay and tweet it at them, and I got a nice response back, which was really nice because it's one of the like lesser known, more quirky, more Lisa-y, if I dare say so myself.
Yeah, more canceled.
God damn it, Lisa. Comics, and so that was really special.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
my favorite cosplay had to be the partnership of Pan from Pan's Labyrinth, and her friend was cosplaying as the young girl who I'm blanking on in Pan's Labyrinth. So they did like a really great photo where Pan, who was also on stilts, this woman, she must have been like 8 feet tall on these stilts, and this mask that it was just like the top part of Pan's head would fold down with the horns, and she used makeup to finish the mouth. Okay, and it was stunning. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, there was a couple. I like the mashup between the Stormtrooper and Yondu. I saw that a couple times, and it was this one Star-Lord. It was real simple, but he was in character. He was Star-Lord with the jacket and everything, but he had like a little boombox with him, and he was just walking around the concourse dancing. And I thought he was just like, wow. It's like, okay, you're committed, dude. You're in character.
We ran across a gender-bent Bill and Ted. Two women.
They were cool.
And they were in character as Bill and Ted the entire time we talked to them.
Oh, wow.
And they had this tiny phone box made out of cardboard, which they kept their smartphone inside. So when they wanted to take photos, they would open up their cardboard box phone booth, pull out their cell phone, take a photo. And they were super cool.
Yeah,
I saw a mashup of Deadpool and Tyrone Biggums. So Tyrone Biggums had Deadpool swords on his back.
What?
So he was killing for crack.
That's funny.
And it was the same guy who's always Tyrone Biggums, right?
Oh wow.
He was like, yeah, I gotta switch it up. Let me get them swords. So yeah, I like the Deadpool. I like the Jane Foster. The Groot. I did see the Pan's Labyrinth one. But my favorite was, I have to say, it was Zachary's Black Panther.
Yeah.
His mask was dope. His eyes friggin' lit up. Like I saw a few other Black Panthers, but no one else's eyes lit up. And then no one else did it like Zachary. It was cool because Zachary, like when you would ask to take the picture, he would put his arms up and strike the post, and he would flick his fingers open, like do the claws thing every time. Like he just popped it like so quick and cool. Like, and I just loved that when he did that.
My favorite photo from the entire trip is that first day we're in the Hall H line, and it's, I snap a photo of Black Panther, Banff Agent, Daredevil, and Margot Tenenbaum, and you're all striking like a Charlie's Angels pose. It's a great photo.
Good time.
It was some good cosplays.
So for Sunday,
I'm going to do it next year, guys.
Whatever. Sure,
Go
you will.
ahead.
Whatever.
I love the game, the Game of Thrones now because since I binged it right before, and I was seeing like, oh, there's Cersei in the mountain, there's Jon Snow, there's Jorah and Dany. I was like, oh, so I was pointing out all the Game of Thrones.
So you're going to do Game of Thrones cosplay? Are you going to start bending some?
I want to do the Wildling. I want to do Tormund.
No, you should do the Mountain.
I can't grow a red beard though.
You could just buy a red beard.
You be the Mountain, and I'll be Tyrion.
Or you could be Prince Oberyn.
No, I'm Tyrion.
Brian, if you go out there in full wolf fur if you want to in San Diego.
I mean, Lisa was walking around in that Margot Tenenbaum fur coat. That did not look comfortable.
It was hot. It was very hot.
You stay inside until your husband's like, we got to go look at the Star Trek Discovery exhibit across town. I'll meet you later.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
That was warm.
Oh, man.
So no panels or anything like that big on Sunday?
No
panels on Sunday.
We nabbed some of those exclusives that we hadn't managed to get to that point.
More posters. Posters.
Yeah, and then we met back up with our Khan family, Scott and his family, Aisha, Miriam, and Fatima, and had a very nice dinner.
Yeah, celebratory dinner.
Oh, very nice dinner. So, Scott, if you're listening,
Marriott.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
So good.
He said not to worry about the prices. Sounds like I'll have that halibut.
Ah, damn.
That was some of what I got. Scallops. Love scallops.
That halibut was
so
good.
I heard Caesar salad.
I saw you guys. You're like, oh, we can't spend money on Scott. Scott said, just go ahead and do it, man.
Yeah, I know. I just felt like, you know what?
Oh, man.
Let me have this
Well,
salad.
when I pay for your meals, that's what I want you to get. I just want you to get a nice house salad.
I don't want that $59 steak.
But that was good to meet back up with them before they left.
And everybody got to download and share their con memories. It was nice.
It was cool.
No panda beef this year.
No.
But we still got to see our movie. And what movie did we watch?
Ooh.
Oh, Valerian. That's
The
right.
worst.
They got to do a review on that.
It's the fucking worst.
We're not doing a review cast on Valerian.
No, I got to do one for the channel.
I just did it.
But...
It was the worst.
Damn.
Everyone should be embarrassed.
Oh.
I tried to see the good in it. I like the opening.
The opening was great.
The opening was great.
I enjoyed
Visually,
it.
it was interesting.
Yeah. Character-wise, I just didn't.
It's an extremely shallow movie.
Yeah.
It's about 20 years too late.
Yeah. All right. Well, so yeah. And then Brad and Lisa, you all went to Disney World.
Yep.
Oh yeah, post-con.
Yeah, we tried to recapture the Comic-Con high with Disneyland Adventure and just general Disneyland.
How'd that go?
It was awesome. We had a great time. You know what? I didn't realize that California Adventure, they're doing the Summer of Heroes, and over in Hollywoodland, they had the screen-worn costumes from Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And, they had Cap's costume there, Thor's costume, and they were the hero costumes. This is what you saw in the movie.
Okay.
They had Mjolnir, the Age of Ultron Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And, that's the stuff that I get, the biggest thrill out of. And it made the entire trip to California Adventure worth it, just to compare my size.
I
Chris
really
Evans.
liked,
He's tiny.
I could totally fit in Scarlett Johansson's costume. That is exactly my size.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that because it is exactly my size, they should have let me try it on.
They have the sizes on there.
No, I just stand next to
eyeball
it.
it?
I go, she's about my height. I can fit my shapes in there. Can squeeze that on. But they've updated the Tower of Terror. The Tower of Terror is no longer.
They haven't so much updated it as gotten rid of it.
Damn.
No, because it's the same ride. It's just now Guardians of the Galaxy themed instead of Twilight Zone themed.
Oh.
But it's actually kind of awesome.
It was super fun. So they did the whole, how they did the whole entryway instead of being hotel. It was the collector's little area, and so we had Cosmo, was an animatronic puppy dog,
dark elf mask.
Ooh.
They had a Nova Corps costume there. They had an Ultron bot, and I didn't get to take a photo of it, but they had this one corridor where it was inspired by Thor Ragnarok, and all the heads on the wall were these Jack Kirby inspired masks, and that was I just wanted to spend the entire day looking at all those Jack Kirby masks. Yeah. And then they had this massive painting of the Collector and the Grand Master playing a game together and laughing. Because as they revealed in Hall H that the Collector and the Grand Master are brothers.
Yeah.
And they just kept pushing me. I couldn't take a photo.
And then, so in the Tower of Terror, the final stage, you would watch the little opening to... there was a little room and you would watch the opening to Twilight Zone. Well, instead they had you you're in the collector's personal office. Why would the collector have an office? But anyway, you're in the collector's personal office and there's a desk and all kinds of trinkets and stuff like that. But then Rocket Raccoon pops up standing on top of one of the shelves and he tells you his grand plan to break the Guardians out of the collector's collection.
Is a top-notch animatronic. I haven't seen an animatronic since the last time I was at Chuck E. Cheese when I was a child. There have been advancements.
Oh, it looked awesome. So he looked down on you and he talked to you and he told you the plan and then on your way out you could see his little raccoon hand come down and grab a trinket on our way out. It was so cute. And then where the elevators would be, that was our docking station or whatever. And then we went in there. And they said, okay, put up your hands so that you can scan your hands. And they scanned our hands, and then we went in. And it was just like Tower of Terror. It was like a drop ride where they'd bring you up, and then they drop you, and they'd bring you up, and then they drop you. But then when like the doors would open, it would be the Guardians, and you're helping them escape, and you see all of the, like, they had a bunch of those like little lizard creatures running around, and it was just really cute. And then of course when you got to the top, they did the window where you look out at the entire park, and you're like, oh my god, I am so high. And then they do the final drop, and it's awesome. I love drop rides.
I have never done that ride before.
Oh really?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I've done it several times, as you can tell.
And it was terrifying. And I did not like it.
Oh no, he was so cute because we wanted to see all of the things, but I thought ahead, and I wore my contact lenses so I could see. But Brad was like gripping its glasses so that he could see.
I wanted to see the video.
It was so fun,
but it was also so scary.
It was scary, but I love it. I love that ride, and I even love it more with the updates. I had not realized you had not been on it. Oh, you were a coward. It sounds.
Correct. I don't like drop rides.
Oh, it was fun.
Anyway, so it was a good way to keep the thrill going from Comic-Con.
All right.
But now we're back in the world and it sucks.
We are. So now, the countdown to next Comic-Con begins.
That's right.
Fantastic Fest!
Oh my god, I missed it.
Boo! It's not gonna be the same without you, Brian.
No, I'm gonna try next year.
We're not gonna use this Comic-Con review cast to go crazy over Fantastic Fest. We'll save that for another time.
I haven't been to Fantastic Fest, but they're completely different and separate and beautiful in their own way.
It is.
I'll skip that review cast.
Oh, no. We have to rub it in. We didn't get to skip the Fantastic Fest review cast.
Yeah, but it was easy because it was 3 that didn't go against 1. Now it's going to be 3 against 1 person who didn't go. No.
That's right. So
I'm not subjecting myself to that.
Have your questions ready. I expect to see note cards.
No.
Well, in the meantime, until not at least until Fantastic Fest, but until our next trip to San Diego Comic-Con, we hope all of you listeners have enjoyed the ItMod coverage of the convention, and follow us on social media at ItModcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, you can follow Brian William Young at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and Brian William Young on Facebook. Wife Dork and all of her Comic-Con related photos and adventures are at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter and Instagram, and also you can also follow her at Sidewalk Siren on Letterboxd. Brad is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd, and Untappd. Follow him on social media so you can check out all of the pictures that he took at San Diego Comic-Con 2017. And if you do not want to see pictures for San Diego Comic-Con 2017, you can follow me at the Disco Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd.
And you can find them all together if you just want to follow the hashtag ItModCon.
Yes.
That's still switchable.
Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed our coverage, and hopefully you can make it out to the West Coast yourself to enjoy and experience the magic of San Diego Comic-Con.
Don't forget to put sunblock on your calves.
Yep. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, San Diego, for having us. And until next time.